Civilization or Barbarism, an Authentic Anthropology by Dr. Cheikh Anta. That is why the contributors of Race et Intelligence using imaginary stratigraphical estimates that allow them to make the fossils whatever age they wish to write. In Asia, the first known sapiens appeared 150,000 years ago at the Zhuang in the Saskatchewan province. This statement is false. The fossil in question, dated by the Chinese themselves using the carbon 14 method, is only 7,500 years plus 130 old. It therefore corresponds to the man of the African Neolithic period. But the authors continue. The cranial capacity of this man is 1,210 cc. He is therefore less precocious than and has a smaller brain than the Vestilozolos man, 1,400 cc, 500,000 years. Here the hoax is obvious. Vestilozolos man, a pure poetical fiction as far as his cranial volume and age are concerned, now becomes a palpable objective reality to be compared to as an Asian type and equally fraudulent age. The authors continue their masquerade. He, Lu Qiang man, lived 100,000 years ago. This is also false, for the fossil was dated by the Chinese themselves as having an age of 16,915 years plus 420. Thus, as demonstrated above, the whole theory of pre-sapien collapses. The differentiation of the races is a geographical phenomenon which, under the influence of physical factors, took place after the appearance of Homo sapiens sapiens, who was an African Negroid, and not at the Homo erectus stage as the Western ideologues wish to allege. Let us now turn to the analysis of racial differences. They do not make sense and have no demonstrative value. Anyone can see that the phenotype of a black is not that of a Swede. Thus, by making a list of all the real and imagined racial differences that may or may not be found in various areas, one gets merely a tedious compilation that appears to be scientific. Such and such a blood group, for instance, is more frequent among blacks than among Nordics. So what? It is a revealing indicator. Is it a revealing indicator of intellectual aptitude? The Germans also believed that the blue blood that was supposed to distinguish them from the degenerate French, the Welsh, a 16-year-old young German, wounded during the Second World War at Strasbourg, preferred to die rather than accept a transfusion of the impure blood of a Welsh donor. The young German kindly thanked the French, then turned over and died. An admiring sonnet was dedicated to him in the Mercure de Français of that time. Jean-Pierre Hébert studies the HLA system and its polymorphism among the different races. Page 95. And the pressure of the right hand and the pressure of the left hand among whites, blacks, American Indians, and the fellows of the Kharja, Egypt, page 98. That is the kind of absurd space filler intended to condition the layperson who gets from it the impression of having read a scientific work. Enumerating anatomical differences among the races which are by definition different in appearance, has no scientific meaning. For one to had have to be able to demonstrate that these anatomical differences correspond to hierarchical differences in degree of humanization. If these authors could do this, they would no longer be masked authors, taking refuge in anonymity. They would rise to the dignity of mass sorcerers, great miracle workers. This is particularly true in concerning the so called anatomical differences found among the brains of different races, although here it is more important to distinguish reality from subtle fraud. It has long been proven that all the races of Homo sapiens have absolutely the same cerebral morphology. The big difference between Homo erectus and Homo sapiens sapiens, or between Neanderthal and Homo sapiens sapiens, is less weight of the brain than the absence in the Neanderthal man of the brain's anterior lobe. Molecular biology has just taught us that at the individual level, there are no two identical human brains, and it is this polymorphism which constitutes the luck of the draw in human species, i.e., its power of adaptation. But these individual differences, like the lines of one's hand, do not in any way translate into racial hierarchism. I'm Uriel Riley, and I will stop right there and we'll continue with civilization or barbarism. Thank you.